Okay, so far I've taught you how to use text boxes, how to use radio button, drop downs in PHP. So now I'm going to show you how to actually extract values from a checkbox. I think you already know that text boxes and then drop down boxes and then radio buttons, you choose only one value. So you don't need any kind of looping to loop through the selected item. But in a checkbox, you can put in, or you can actually select more than one value. So here I'm going to show you how to extract the values one by one. So basically, if you look at the left hand side here, so what we are planning to do now is, I have three checkboxes here, different types of food. I have soup, pizza and waffle. So let's say I did not select on any of the checkbox. If I click on get bill, I don't have any selection made, so I don't get to see any bill. But let's say I check on soup, which is 1 ringgit. Okay, this is 1 ringgit, this is 2 ringgit, and this is 3 ringgit to make it easier to be calculated. So soup I'm checking, and then I'm checking on waffle as well. So actually 1 plus 3, I'm supposed to pay 4 ringgit for it. So this is what I have. So soup is 1 ringgit, waffle is 3 ringgit. So altogether I have to pay 4 ringgit. So how does the logic behind this particular page work? So let's refresh this page again. Okay, so let's enter. Alright, so now let's go back to the initial one where we did not choose any of the checkboxes. So we have this. Okay, so now this is a normal form. I have 3 checkboxes, 1 button. So now how do we get the values from the checkbox? First thing I do is, all the codes are ready, so we don't really need to waste so much of time. So the first thing that I always do is check on which button I clicked on. So did I click on this button? If I click on this button, the next thing I do is, did I check any of the checkboxes or not? So I'm actually using isSet function. You can use isSet function for anything. As long as you want to check whether that particular variable has a value or not, you can actually use isSet. So basically now what I'm doing is, I'm checking whether any of that particular checkboxes, did I check on it or not. Okay, so if you notice, in my checkbox, the name of my checkbox are all using array. Okay, so when you are checking, you don't have to use the square bracket. No need. Here you have to use the square bracket. Okay, here when you are checking for it, no need. So if in this case, in our output currently right now, I didn't check on anything, that means it is null. That means it is not set. That means it is not going through this particular if statement. It'll go to the else. It'll go to the else, and then it will display this, because it is not set. Okay, if let's say I have set some values for the checkbox. For example, I set pizza, I set waffle, and then I get bill. Okay, if in this case, I've actually set the value of the food. So what I do now is, I take out this particular variable and then put it here. Because this is too long for me, so I extract all the values and then I put it here. So this actually contains whatever checkbox that I have checked. Okay, the next thing is this one. Okay, what I'm doing here is, I'm actually counting how many checkboxes I have checked on. Alright, this one contains all the values. Here I am going to check using the count. Using this particular inbuilt function, I'm going to check how many I have checked. Okay, so basically this one will contain maybe P and W. But this will count how many I have. So PW is actually 2. Okay, so based on that, my total, because I want to calculate my total, right? So the initial value will be 0. So for my display, this is actually for my display. Alright, this part is actually for my display. So currently, no display is being done. I'm putting it as empty. So if, let's say, they have selected some food, what I do is, I will echo this. This one is for this. And at the same time, I'm actually putting in the count of the foods that I've selected. That this particular item is actually coming from here. I'm counting how many food I have selected. Alright, so that one is here. And then now it's looping time. So what I do, I go through the items that I have selected. If it's 2, that means I go through one by one, that 2 checkboxes. And then what I do is, I am going to check the value of each of the item. Remember, if I go up here again, this particular person, this particular variable is actually containing the value. So it can be as PW. Okay, so now what I do here is, I am going through one by one, and I'm going to check, is it S, is it P, is it W, so that I can set the name for it and the price. So maybe food 0 is actually pizza, in my case right here, and then food 1 is actually waffle. Alright, so depending on what I have selected up here. So once, every time I go inside the loop, it will check for one of the food, and then it will calculate. This is to accumulate the price. Okay, this is to accumulate the price so that at the end of the day, I can actually display this. Okay, this is for the individual display, because I want to display the food and then the price, and then again another food and then a price. So this looping will go on depending on how many food I actually selected. This portion will be displayed at the bottom here. This is just to group them up nicely before displaying, but the display part will be at the bottom here. Okay, so whenever it comes to check boxes, we must be a bit careful because we cannot get the value straight away. There's a few steps that you need to follow. And this is not the only way that you can actually get the values. I'm showing you this because it is quite simple. Maybe you can try it with your own data and your own form. So this is the entire code. This is the form. And this is the PHP part. And up to here.